Some luxury cars are incredibly expensive, so in this video I wanted to talk about 5 of them that are ridiculously expensive and 5 much cheaper substitutes you can buy for them for a fraction of the price. Hit like for those kind of content, subscribe if you're new. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. First up, we have a substitute for one of the most iconic luxury SUVs in the business, the Mercedes G-Wagon, specifically the most recent G63 AMG. The G-Wagon dates all the way back to 1979 when it was originally developed to be a military off-roader after the King of Iran, who happened to be a massive Mercedes shareholder at the time, suggested to Mercedes that it would be a good idea. Since then, it has of course gone from being a purpose-built off-roader to being a luxury SUV frequented by rich people, and the G63 AMG embodies this to a T with its 4-litre twin-turbocharged V8 engine producing 576 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 4.4 seconds, so it's properly fast, but also actually still relatively good off-road. Take a trip to Mercedes Centre at Brooklands and you can actually drive a G-Wagon on an off-road course, proving its capability. Now, the car I've selected to replace it is almost entirely unlike the G-Wagon in every way, especially given that it's way slower, way smaller, and way less luxurious, but for me it is the closest SUV to have a similar level of intrigue with not dissimilar stylings, the 4th generation Suzuki Jimny. It sits in the mini SUV class, which originally was part of the K-class in Japan, so it still embodies a lot of what this means, a small 1.5 litre inline-4 engine being a key part of this, putting out 99 brake horsepower and managing 0 to 60 in around 13 seconds. It's night and day between the two cars in terms of performance then. However, the Jimny has a large cult following, meaning that it's highly sought after, with allocations being surprisingly difficult to get a hold of, and it still remains pretty usable off-road. I personally think it's a great looking car too, and you might have seen the Bruddas kit for it, which makes it look even more similar to a baby G-Wagon. They do start at around £21,000, with 30k getting you a 2020 model around 7,000 miles on the clock, which is miles cheaper than the £175,000 starting price for the G63 AMG. Owners do complain about one main thing though: they're not amazing motorway cruisers, as the engine noise is quite loud and they can only manage around 90 miles per hour. Next up, we have a replacement for the 3rd generation Bentley Flying Spur, which is already a slightly cheaper route into luxury chauffeur car ownership than an equivalent Rolls-Royce, costing around £180,000 at the bottom end instead of the 300k plus you're paying for any Rolls-Royce new, but that's not to take away from this car's own accolades, given it's basically about as luxurious as a saloon you can buy from the VW group. It comes with new styling which harks back to former Bentley design languages like the revised grille, and it gets some insanely cool technology and fiddly bits to keep it more interesting, like the rotating touchscreen display on the interior and rear wheel steering to get that massive body turning. It also has a 6-litre twin turbocharged W12 engine, which is pretty mental, putting out 626 brake horsepower, the most on this list, taking it to 60 in 3.7 seconds, the quickest on this list. By comparison, the substitute I chose for it in this video is another VW Group luxury car, the D5 Audi A8, which was released in 2017 and sits on the same platform as cars like the Lamborghini Urus and Porsche Cayenne. It comes as both a short and long wheelbase version depending on how much legroom you want to have, and among its engine options, one is the 3-litre twin turbocharged V6 engine, putting out 335 brake horsepower and taking it to 60 in 5.4 seconds. The interior is not as luxurious as the Bentley, but then you wouldn't expect it to be. It's still got a great level of luxury for the money in the right spec, including infotainment screens for the rear passengers, sun blinds, plush adjustable rear seats, and a bunch of other niceties. It will cost you around £27,000 at the bottom end though, so it is quite expensive, with £30,000 getting you a 2018 model around 30,000 miles on the clock. Outside of the software updates and a few recalls, so far these have been very good on reliability, just look for full service history. In 3rd on the list, we have a replacement for the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, a luxury SUV which splits opinions in the car world with its slightly rogue looks. It's effectively a Phantom saloon adapted to become an SUV with a hatchback rear end, so it did get a bit of stick for being ugly on launch. But it's not really a car about looking good, it's one about looking expensive, and being very expensive too, given the start at around £300,000 on the road, thanks to the plethora of luxury options you can get on them, including the well-known viewing suite which pops out of the rear of the car and lets you have a picnic sitting on your own boot. It can also come with a champagne cooler or even a whiskey decanter, either of which comes with Rolls-Royce champagne flutes or whiskey glasses respectively, to add on to the rest of the ridiculous ridiculously luxurious interior. I honestly want to have a go at fitting a champagne fridge into my £400 Polo. Let me know if you want to see that happen by dropping a comment down below. On top of all of that, it comes with a 6.75 litre twin turbocharged V12 producing 563 brake horsepower and managing 0 to 60 in 5 seconds. There isn't really anything that competes with this on luxury, but the 4th generation Range Rover is the substitute that I chose, with its 4.4 litre V8 engine producing 334 brake horsepower and doing 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds. Like the Cullinan, it's a full-size luxury SUV, and of course levels are a major step down, which makes sense considering the price and spec option differences, but it's still way more luxurious than your average car. Having been in one, I can tell you the ride quality is exceptional and the materials used are also very premium. Its focus is more on providing an elegant, luxurious place to be than it is having ridiculous luxury features, but the Range Rover still provides an air of showing off to it, in that more recent ones in particular might make you look richer than you really are. Reliability, however, isn't so great on these, with a bunch of problems reported by owners, so they might actually make you a little bit less rich. £15,000 will get you into one though, and 30k gets you a 2016 model with around 20,000 miles on the clock. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you are, do hit the like button and subscribe as well if you're new for videos every single week. And let me know in the comments down below what your personal favourite luxury car ever is. From one Rolls-Royce to another, the next substitute car I found is for the Rolls-Royce Phantom, which is effectively the gold standard for luxury saloon cars. There are probably more luxurious saloons like maybe the Mercedes Maybach in some ways, but Rolls-Royce really are the leaders in this space, with the Phantom being the whole brand's flagship car, and it was actually unofficially named the most luxurious car in the world by many journalists and media outlets alike. This is actually the 8th generation Phantom, which is another evolution of the previous generation in terms of design features. Same as the Cullinan, the interior is the special part of this car, given it's fully bespoke and personalised to whoever specs the car on a whole different level to your average spec job. The exterior is pretty cool too though, with the rear hinged rear doors, which I'm still not sure I fully understand the point of, but they do look cool. Now look, nothing I can offer you for under £30,000 will be able to compete with this £417,000 plus car, with its specs that are almost identical to the Cullinan's, but I have chosen the 6th generation BMW 7 Series in this instance, in the 2 litre turbocharged inline 4 hybrid spec, which puts out 328 brake horsepower and does 0 to 60 in 5.4 seconds. BMW are the owners of Rolls-Royce, which has shown the quality of the interiors of their luxury cars ever since, and more recently the G11 7 Series has proven this point well. I personally love the interior on this car. Yes, again, it isn't anywhere near the Phantom's level, but it still comes with a bunch of features which set it apart from your average car. It's more on a level with the Audi A8 mentioned previously in this department. They start at around £17,000, and £30,000 will get you a 2019 model with around 50,000 miles on the clock. Reliability has been generally okay on these, though there have been complaints around the non-engine electricals and bodywork problems as well. Finally, we're talking about a cheaper replacement for the Mercedes Maybach S680, which has an insane 6 litre twin turbocharged V12 engine producing 603 brake horsepower and managing 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds. Not bad for a luxury saloon of its size. This might be the only luxury saloon that holds a candle to the Phantom mentioned before, given the levels of luxury it provides, particularly for passengers in the rear. It's filled with the best of the best materials and fresh technology as well, like the OLED displays, heated and cooled cup holders, Burmester 4D surround sound, automatic doors, silver-plated champagne flutes and the champagne fridge, a special sound suppression system which emits counter sound waves to any sound that makes it from the outside of the car into it, and a bunch of other crazy features putting this car at the top end of the luxury market. But unfortunately, as a result of this, you'll need to spend over £200,000 to get yourself into one. Even second-hand, they're listed for a minimum of around £180,000. There is actually a car that the Maybach is said to make feel average, and that is another Mercedes, the flagship S-Class. You can get yourself into a W222 S-Class for around £15,000 at the bottom end, with £30,000 getting you a 2017 model around 60,000 miles on it, which is significantly less expensive for a car that is still the class leader in the average full-size luxury car class. It has many engine options, one of my favourites being the 4.7 litre twin turbocharged V8, which produces 448 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 4.6 seconds, making it the quickest substitute on the list and just 2/10 slower to 60 than the V12 Maybach. It's a generation behind the Maybach, granted, but that doesn't take away from the fact that this is one of the best and most popular chauffeur luxury cars on the market, with the best technology available to Mercedes at the time and an exceptionally beautiful cabin space to cruise around in. Just be aware that as a result of all the tech this car gets, it is known to go wrong in the electrical department if you're unlucky. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. A quick reminder to hit the like button and subscribe as well if you're new. Mass thanks for watching, and to the patrons as well for their continued support. And if you want to watch another video on some cheap substitutes for fast cars, then click up here and subscribe down here.